So I'll answer first some of those questions, Councillor Darby, because the whole case that Council took to the hearings panel, which is reflected in the rejections that were put to you here, is to get back to the Council's case. The Council's case was a whole of family case, so that had both Stormwater and Auckland Transport and Watercare and all the other parts of our family all agreeing on what was the Council's case. So all we're recommending here is to go back to the Council's case that we took before the hearings panel. So it's not a case of we're trying to get better results for Auckland Transport. It's what the case team, which represented the whole family, recommended at the hearing. What we believe here is that the panel has put in references to different tables in the wrong place, and all this does is enable negotiation and discussion about the best mitigation opportunities for Auckland Transport in certain circumstances. Doesn't say they don't need to mitigate, it just says there needs to be flexibility, particularly when the only option for mitigation is on private property, because that requires negotiation with a private property owner.
Okay, if it's the original position, I'm fine. Thank you.
I'll move it. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Thank you.
So the last one in this
Definitions.
suite is to do with the definition of redevelopment of a road. That definition was really there to recognise routine maintenance like pothole repairs and resurfacing of a road as a permitted activity. For some reason the panel has recommended the deletion of that definition, but has kept the related definition of redevelopment of impervious area, which applies to private property. The two of them go together, and we don't really understand why this one's not there. So we're recommending that it needs to be, you need to reject the panel's position and reinsert the definition.
All right, Councillor
second
Linda,
that.
second. Councillor Penny W.
Tanya Rhodes.
Councillor Bill.
I'll second it.
Oh, right. Okay. You were close, but no cigar. Right, any comment? Right, I'll move that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against pass. So while we go into the next matter, just want to acknowledge Joe, Graham, Andy, Lisa, good to see you here, and board representatives, and Julie just arriving. Right, now we've got to do the RAP clause.
Definitions.
No, we've got to do the governing body clause. I'll move that. Seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Christine. All those in favour say aye.
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 Against, thank you. Now definitions.
So this report is topic 065 definitions. You'll actually see that there's been quite a number of definitions that have been discussed as you've worked through the different reports. So largely all of those recommendations from A to G you've already had a decision on. It's just because they're also referred to in the report that we've put them there. The one outstanding issue that officers have identified with this definitions report is to do with the definition of height. And I think this is more one of those issues that have arisen with just the change of formatting that you find in the panel's recommended version of the plan. What was a subsection of the council's case definition seems to have become almost the whole definition, and basically that was the exclusion section, and there were some things that we had in our exclusion definition that did not have dimension restrictions. So things like cranes, they're structures that are really hard to determine by dimension, and so we exclude them from height because they tend to be movable things, and so there was a whole number of these that just slipped off, and actually because of the wording of the definition are now subject to height restrictions in the zone that they're located, which just really doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're recommending we go back to the definition that was in the council's case and reject the definition of height in the panel's case, which is, the issue is around the way they've sort of formatted it.
Right, Councillor Chris will move. Councillor Sir John will second. Right, councillors, is there any discussion on this? Councillor Linda?
A question. So the paper that we've been handed out today, in 7.9.1, it doesn't have B and D. Are you saying we've already done that, but you've got them up there? I'm confused because it says minutes on here, but then we're told they're not minutes, so I'm just...
So I think really the first recommendation is just noting A to I think it is.
Are we just saying that we've already done it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've done those, and then the next one is the one to do with
Got it.
I.
H. Okay.
I'll move. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Right, then we have the wash-up clause. So I'll move that. Is there a seconder? Councillor Penny H. All those in favour say aye. 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 Passed. Right, report backs. Now, we've got historical heritage. We have got a bit of sustainable design. We have got one of the other matters. No.
No, we're going on to...
Oh,
There's information.
the first Noel.
Coming quickly.
That's right, Christmas is nearly here. Okay, right, Noel's here, so it's got to be about our historical references. Right, where you go, Noel?
Chair, councillors, there was a provision on the first day in the...
Sorry, I've got people going like this to me, Noel.
Where are
Yeah,
we at?
Where are we?
I will move this.
Or are we in...
So just hang on, why don't we just
to this?
Jumping back to
form the council laws as to exactly where we are at. Which page was that?
10 and 11 of the original agenda report, page 10.
10. Goodness, it seems like a lifetime ago. Page 10.
I would like to move this,
You would like to move
Your
it?
Honour.
Excellent, Your Honour.
your honour.
His worship will do.
5.2.1, that's not page 10.
Okay, right. This was the very first, wasn't it?
Yep.
Oh, we made a lot of progress back in those days, Noel. Okay, where you go?
So this happened on the first day of your meeting. The RPS, as notified, contained a policy that related to unscheduled, unidentified historic heritage. It was rejected by the independent panel as part of rejecting the pre-1944 and the sites of value layer. That policy was part of the council's precautionary approach. With this council recommending that the pre-1944 and the sites of value layer be deleted, then this policy serves no function anymore because there are no rules or assessment criteria that relate to it.
Okay. Very good. Now it's been moved by...
Yep.
Who moved it? Councillor Ross, of course, sorry. Seconder, please. I'll second it. Right. So that's basically a follow-on from the last debate. I don't think we need to rehash all of that debate.
No, I'm not seconding it, so now this is rejecting
Say it again, Noel.
So you would be accepting the independent panel's rejection of that policy?
Right. Not?
So
a
that's
double
it. So
negative.
it's basically taking the staff's recommendation on page...
Page
Page 11.
So,
Page 11, sorry.
sorry, that's...
Page 11.
The box 5.2.1
Work's been done.
on
Yep.
page 11.
Yep.
So we'll be agreeing to that.
Councillor Chris?
Thank you. And I'm also working from the IHPs under topic 10 and their rationale there. Noel, it will come as no surprise to you that I'm disappointed in officers' recommendations on this. This, as I have previously explained, I think the whole issue of heritage is one that could undermine the public's acceptance of the unitary plan, and I think that you're hearing on most topics now a general consensus Noel, could you expand further on why officers have sought to find no other measures? I understand and I read the IHP. I was part of the debate on the first day. I am most unhappy with your recommendations. Can you please give me some comfort?
So this policy at the RPS level, now with all your other decisions, if you retained it, would stand on its own with no way of implementation. In effect, it's meaningless. So, and that's why the panel rejected the whole package of the precautionary approach throughout the plan. So if you kept this, it wouldn't make much difference to how the council, or wouldn't make any difference to how the council operated.
Right.
So, Noel, what can you point to in terms of specific remedies that will give comfort to those of us who want to see Auckland grow, but we want to see protection and respect for heritage?
So in the debates that this council had around pre-1944 and sites of value to mana whenua, I understood that the councillors, one of the reasons that officers certainly recommended those be deleted and councillors accepted was that was a matter for a plan change in the future. Now a lot of that work around both those topics is being done and has been done, and that will need to come to the new council for consideration via a plan change.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just want to foreshadow that I can't support this. I understand that we are where we are in the process. However, I feel that we should be pausing and taking some further steps to actually deal with heritage in a more meaningful way.
Yep, good. Councillor Mike.
Mr Mayor, regardless of what the panel may feel, the people of Auckland have a high regard for the preservation of our built heritage. The precautionary approach is appropriate to apply to the question of heritage and the protection of it when we issue resource consents or make decisions under the Resource Management Act. The precautionary principle is an old and sound one. It is certainly embodied in the Act, and I see no reason, just because the panel has thrown out, unwisely in my view, the pre-1944 overlay in the sites of value to mana whenua, that we should also abandon the precautionary principle. It's a fundamental tenet of sustainable management, and I believe that we need to at least keep that in as we move on, hopefully into a new council with new plan changes based on the precautionary principle, or expression of the precautionary principle.
Okay. Councillor Penny-H.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wonder if we could run through, because we sort of do it at a time, just reminding people what is in there, because we do rather lose track of what's been done. And I know we've had quite a bit of discussion about loss of heritage and loss of protection, but in the course of the unitary plan process there's been a huge amount of work done, looking at scheduling, looking at the areas that are going to be protected, rezoning to protect character areas. I just wonder, with your permission, if Noel could just remind us of that. Otherwise this stands sort of on its own somewhat bleakly and looks as if we're throwing our hands up and giving up on heritage, which is absolutely not what we're doing.
And that's a very good reason as to why we decided in that debate last week to accept the recommendation of the staff. Right, Noel.
So the schedule, which is site-specific in terms of buildings, has been increased significantly. Can't remember the exact numbers, but just to give you an example, Heritage New Zealand put forward something like 60 new buildings. So the schedule definitely has increased. The special character areas from the legacy plans were all retained. A few were deleted once we'd been out and surveyed those, as the special character was no longer there. And we've added 2 or 3 new areas in, Balmoral and K Road being the ones that come immediately to mind. So all up, there is around 30 to 35,000 dwellings within the Auckland region that have a form of heritage protection over them, and that's quite significant by any city standards. The pre-1944 rule on evidence was down to about 8,500 dwellings. We are looking at bringing clean changes to the council on a good number of those dwellings in the immediate future.